Let me guess, you're building something amazing in crypto, but no one seems to remember about what you do, even after the announcement, even after the hype. That's not a product issue. That's a narrative issue. Let's fix that. Part one, what is a narrative? A narrative is not about fact. A narrative is about how you frame the facts about your product and how you want people to perceive your product or your service inside a marketing campaign. Basically, it's a story that you tell to change this perception. It can be, for example, a vision. We build a decentralized world. It can be a problem solution. Trophy is broken. We're fixing this. It can be an identity. We're the chain for real builders. Or it can be a movement. Open source money for everyone, for example. What is a good narrative now? A good narrative resonates with your audience. It aligns with broader trends and desires. It's also making people feel that they are part of something bigger. And last but not least, it helps people to remember and share about what you're doing. So a narrative is a strategic storytelling. It's not just a vibe, absolutely not, and it's not just a slogan. It's happening inside of a marketing campaign. So it addresses a specific goal. So in a marketing campaign, what do you have? You have first a goal, like your main objective. We want DeFi users to try our beta app. Okay, then you have an audience. You want to target first degens on Solana. That's an idea. And you have then a main narrative that you, like your main story that you will tell them to make them desire to come and try your beta app. And inside this main narrative, you will then decline the main narrative in different messages that will be adapted for each kind of channel you will use inside your campaign. So I can give you another example because there is something that you absolutely should do when you are choosing and writing your narrative, is that you can't use all the advantages of your product. So let's try with, for example, a new layer 2 of Ethereum that is offering more privacy and more scalability to Ethereum. You can, for example, choose the narrative Ethereum consensus, but with privacy. It's one way of doing it. Another one would be we are scaling Ethereum. So both are narratives that are fitting with your product because your product is offering privacy and scalability to Ethereum, but you can't sell both narratives in the same moment. For example, if you want to first start with people trying your layer 2 that are cryptographers and that are very sensible about privacy, you will choose this one. If you want to first convince builders to build on your new layer 2, you may choose the second one about scalability because maybe this is something that is like more easy for an entrepreneur or a builder to understand because maybe they are not facing the same, they don't have the same relationship with privacy. So one audience is fitting with one narrative, and you should not use both narratives in the same time. If I open your X profile and in one tweet you are saying that you have more privacy, you are offering privacy for Ethereum, and the second one I will see that you are also more scalable, okay, but I don't know what you're offering at that moment. So if you are doing a marketing campaign, you choose one of those narratives and you decline them in several messages. For example, privacy now, better layer 2 for the real builders that want to offer scalable applications. So those are two declinations of each of the narrative, but you can deploy maybe 3 or 4 different messages for each narrative, so you will not repeat the exact same sentence for months, obviously not, but you are kind of saying the same thing differently for weeks. This is it. You repeat, you repeat, you repeat. Part 2, learning from traditional marketing strategy. Let's revisit now a classical marketing framework that can help you to craft for the first time from scratch your first narrative. So you start with step 1. The step 1 is your promise. So you just write down on a paper why are you building this project, to who you are presenting it, what is your ideal audience, and what future you are promising to those people. You just write this down. Then, second step, step 2, your position on the market. Here you can do a quick positioning mapping by benchmarking your competitors or other products that can replace yours, that like the alternative that already exists and that users are using and you are doing it better. So you place this on a map, on a positioning map with 2 different criteria that are your axes, and then you know where you are positioned in the market. For example, you can have a better number of transactions per second, so you can put all your competitors in this axis regarding that, and you have a price per transaction that could be here, and so you know where you are in the map. Actually, those are not really relevant, but it's just to show you an example. So now you know where you are in the market and how you can be compared with your competitors. Third point, you find one enemy. Who are you fighting against? For example, just to show you about this promise, partition, and enemy, for usual we had it's time to untether at the first narrative. It was pre-launch actually. So here it was like easy. The promise was to offer real-world assets, stable coins for everyone. The second one, the positioning, was in relationship, like we were comparing with Tether, obviously, but also with other yield-bearing stablecoins that was already in the market, like the one done by Ethena, but we were doing it with real-world assets. So we had multiple position mapping, but in each position mapping, we had our, like, we could say exactly in which space we are there. And then our enemy, we have chosen Tether. So it was really easy then to find the sentence, it's time to untether, because we knew it was the moment to leverage yield-bearing stablecoins and make it competitive in front of classical stablecoins. Step 4, you have to know the trends in your innovative sector and to make sure that your narrative is aligning with that. If your narrative is old-fashioned, it's useless. You can stop now. So just make sure it's fitting with one narrative, and in the case of usual, it was several different trends. There were real-world assets, there were yield-bearing elements, but stablecoins, and there were the soft signals of stablecoins coming back on the market as assets that are interesting for VCs and for users. Then the step 5 is really easy. Write it down. You find a way to write this narrative down. You can't just have it in your mind. You have to share it with your team. You have to share it with your first supporters, with your early investors, with the beta testers that you are making use your product at the very beginning. Because if you don't have clearly somewhere this narrative, you can start like just sharing noise, and this will lead to nonsense. So absolutely write down your narrative. It can be 1 or 2 sentences. Sometimes people are calling it positioning. I prefer to say main narrative, but This is a classical marketing debates, and we're gonna now more focus on the next part that is about how we can adapt this to the crypto industry, because the crypto industry has a specific playbook, and this classical method will not be enough to make you create a good narrative. Part 3, the crypto playbook. I absolutely wanted in this video to do something specific about the crypto playbook, because that's real, that traditional marketing frameworks are always working with everything and even crypto. But it will be useless if I don't talk about the crypto playbook that's like is changing sometimes. Like until 2022, it was more about ICOs or different like variations of ICOs. But now there is a new one, and maybe it will end at the end of this year, but I have to talk to you about that. So the actual crypto playbook is starting with being VC founded. Sometimes, yes, that's true, we have seen CTOs, community token offerings, but that was clearly a trend. And big protocols now, they are backed by VCs, and they are creating a momentum around the launch on testnet or the testnet launch if it's a layer, and about the airdrop also. So there is kind of FOMO thing, and they are using a lot the people that are backing them to create expectations on the launch. And yeah, there is all this. In the crypto playbook, you have also incentives. We have seen all the like the trend by using points that were then transformed in tokens and everything. So now it's already old-fashioned points, but anyway, they are saying that their protocol will give you incentives after the launch. So it's still, incentives are still something that is in the playbook that you will not find in other industries than crypto. So it's very specific. And another thing that is not really in the crypto playbook, but is something you have to know about crypto, is that anyway, layer ones and layer twos gets attention. Like they get attention, sometimes for no reason, but they get attention. So that's why some protocols, they are launching a layer 2 or even a layer 3 just because it drives attention. So they can have then marketing like that will work and users. So this is what we have to know about the crypto playbook, and it will be very difficult to get out of this. So just a quick disclaimer here. It will be very difficult to get out of the crowd about incentives, airdrop. Like even if you don't want to, people will speculate on your project, because in crypto, your users are like mercenaries. They have a financial interest in using your protocol. If you want to transform them, to change them and make them ambassadors of your project, you have to create loyalty, you have to create use your clear narratives to create, to have people really understanding what you're doing. And I'm seeing a lot of projects, they are trying to get the crypto playbook, so they are trying to play each step, but because they are not doing their narratives first, we don't understand what they are saying. In French, we say ce qui se conçoit bien s'énonce clairement. Like if you can't explain clearly your product, like it's maybe because it's not a good product. So the risk of just playing the crypto playbook and not having your narratives ready is dangerous. So that's a disclaimer, because I don't want you, because I'm just nuancing what I'm saying with the crypto exception, that you forgot about what I said all before. So we're gonna go inside the crypto playbook and talk about some main elements of the crypto playbook, and I will give you some tricks to get narratives quicker. So first, as we said before, the first one is that like VCs who backed your project are very important. And if it's not VCs, if it's a community, anyway, you have to use a lot of authority arguments in crypto, like showing who backed your project as a VC from the very beginning, or your first business angel, or the first KOL who talked about you even without being paid, or the community that said your project was good where you were unknown, is very important to highlight then in your narrative. So if you don't know how to use as a narrative and you have the chance to be backed by like Arthur Hayes or maybe Paradigm or any big VC, tier one VC, you can just, for 3 months, if you're still, you can just use this. Like it's a narrative in itself, it's crypto industry, it's like typical. So it's not perfect, but it's a way to get a quick narrative that is very clear and that you will be able to make people talk about you. And more than that, sometimes the fact, like what you have to know about that is that it's not important that people are really thinking that it's a good thing to be invested by this kind of VCs. Sometimes people will bet on your project because they think that the other ones will bet on it because you said that you have a great VC. So it's a very like easy narrative, but that you can totally use. Another one is, for example, if you have a versioning. So you are deploying a new dApp, you can totally create your stealth dApp first. So you have a narrative that is maybe general, you don't know what to do, and then you know that in 3 months you will ship the beta and open it to a bigger community, like make more people being able to test it. So what you can just use as a narrative is the difference between both versions. So you added an AI feature, your new AI feature can be the main narrative for the launch of the beta app. And if you're then going mainnet, you use the improvement that you've made between the beta app and the mainnet, like the app coming to mainnet, as your main narrative. So it's very lazy, but it can work clearly, so it's a trick. I want to talk about airdrop anticipation. So airdrop anticipation, I really recommend not using it. Like, don't say we will airdrop. It's like your legal team will die right after that. So what you can use is obviously your tokenomics or any other incentives that can make people think that other people will think that they will be rewarded. Even if they don't think they will be rewarded in themselves, they will bet on your project because they think that other people will be rewarded or think they will be rewarded, even if it's not true. So it's kind of another way to use the airdrop or incentives, but this is the case, for example, with yield-bearing stablecoins. It's because it's stablecoins that will give you yield on the time. Maybe some people will not believe that, but because they think people will think, oh, I'm just holding stablecoin and this will give me yield, they will bet and buy your token then or use your dApp to farm the potential airdrop just because they think people will think that. So it's also, it can be a narrative, but just make sure that the airdrop in itself or the incentives in themselves are not your narrative. And then the last one, I already talked about it right before, but I want to insist in that, are trends. You absolutely have to find a trend in a subsector, like where your project can be, can happen. For example, I gave the example of a stablecoin. It was not, like stablecoin were not a narrative in itself, it was not a trendy narrative, but real world asset was. So like you can use real world asset as a narrative for your stablecoin. But if it was yield bearing, it was also the case, you could use this one. But it's difficult to use both, so it's better to choose one. Anyway, you have, for example, a project about using AI to help people make decision when they are trading. Okay, so you are using the AI trend, but it's not enough. You have to use a more precise one and to see who are, maybe you have to find 2 or 3 projects that who like which already used it before, and you enter this particular sector inside your whole industry, and you compete with those one. So finding a trend and sometimes soft signals, so trends that are not yet revealed, is the best way. And sometimes it can totally be your narrative without like showing so much about your product and what you're gonna release. A trend can totally be a narrative in crypto because we are in a market where people are very sensitive on trends because it's a free market, so they will absolutely fall into it. Yeah, so that was some examples of how you can quickly draft narratives. Always think about all the things that I said before to make sure it aligns with your campaign, with your audience, and with whatever you want to do. But that's true that in crypto is sometimes a little different than in other industries. So, to conclude on what I'm recommending, first thing, you have to document your narratives. They are not coming from nowhere. You have a positioning mapping, you have like observed the trends of the market, and you have to write your main narrative down to make sure everyone in your team is aware about it and they know how to use it. So that's the first thing. Secondly, choisir, c'est renoncer. You have to choose between the different narratives that can fit your project. You don't choose 3, you choose one main one, and then, okay, you can decline it in 3 or 4 different messages or ways to show it. Then the last thing is that you have to understand that a narrative is working with a campaign. So you have one goal, one audience, one narrative, one mix of channel slash action. So this is very important. This is like the framework in which you will create your narrative. Now you know how to create it with a traditional marketing framework. I repeat, a promise, a position, and one enemy. And you know how to adapt it to the crypto industry because you know better the crypto playbook and you know that you have to follow some trends. So now you're ready to write down your narrative. If you want, you can put it in the comments or ask me some questions in the comments. I'm happy to help. If you've learned something in this video, please share it with other crypto founders, put a like, comment, and absolutely subscribe to this channel. I will share a lot more videos about marketing in crypto, and I'm happy to see you in the next video.